Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of QuattroQuattroDos. Once again, this is your boy Cristian, and today we're gonna have a little talk. Not a little talk, but I don't know how long it's gonna be. But you know, we'll always say little talk. We're gonna be talking about a little bit about Houston versus Dallas on Wednesday, and then of course we're gonna be talking about the loss against Miami that we suffered. So honestly, the Dallas game, that's the one that I kind of took the most notes. The Miami game was kind of weird, you know, with the whole weather delay and stuff like that, so I don't have a lot of notes on that one, especially when the Dynamo didn't play that really good of a game. It's kind of like a bad habit that I have, that when things are not going well, I tend not to have a lot of notes, but I still I remember a lot of it. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some key points and stuff like that. But other than that, you know, we'll just, you know, do the typical QuattroQuattroDos that I'm just going to free ball it, I guess. So if you are new, I guess, or would like to get in touch with me for some type of reason, you should have the handles right here on the bottom if you're watching, and if not, you know, it's Cris Putalias or QuattroQuattroDos as well if you're listening. Also you can see that on the description below of the information of the podcast episode. But yeah, other than that, also don't forget that I started a new little segment where I break down goals called Anatomy of a Goal. So go check those out. They're pretty cool, at least I think. But other than that, let's just go ahead and get to it. This season, it's kind of almost over. Hopefully not, you know, so soon. Hopefully we're able to make it to the playoffs. But before that, let's talk about the Dallas game real quick. So this whole month, basically, the Houston Dynamo is going to be playing eight games in a span of a month. So it's going to be really difficult, hard. It's going to be literally a trial by fire, basically, when it comes to like seeing where we stand, when it comes to depth of the roster and those, you know, stuff like that everybody has been talking about. You know, all the different shows that cover the Dynamo. You know, basically everybody has been talking about depth and who to keep and who kind of to let go and stuff like that. But the Texas Derby was a pretty legit game for the Houston Dynamo, even though we didn't have control of the ball per se when it came to possession. We had a pretty good game, and also the fact that we played with 10 men basically the whole second half, you know, kind of gave us a little plus to say, hey, you know, we beat Dallas with 10 men on the field. Possibly one of our best guys, Manotas, you know, our top goal scorer, or one of the top goal scorers actually in the history of the Dynamo. So not having him and potentially, you know, score a goal or two, even though he's going through a little dry spell, you know, it hinders you as a team, you know, a little bit. But other than that, here, let me read some stats that I have. For example, when it came to possession of the ball, it's actually pretty bad. If you look at it, possession of the ball, it ended up being 71 for Dallas and 28.4 Dynamo, 71.6 for Dallas. As you can see, it wasn't a very maybe you guys don't, but I got used to the Dynamo controlling the ball and being the dominator. No, the team that dominates the ball the most, basically, in most of these games. Tab Ramos have brought in, like I have said before many times, he has brought in a culture, or I don't know if you call it a culture or just a style of play, where the Dynamo control the ball and they move the ball around. They're able to, you know, keep the ball at their feet, you know, use the back line to move that ball around, you know, swing it left to right, right to left. And, you know, you use literally every single player touches the ball before, you know, we're able to make it to the front. Or we're able to give it to Darwin Quintero so he can create. But when it came to FC Dallas, knowing that they have some pretty good guys. Like they have Riquarte. Their number 10 basically is a beast. He's the guy that attempted to score from like half field. That Marriage had a good save. And yeah, I think the correct people had really good games. Marco Marriage had really good saves. Kiki Struna, showed up. He had a really good defensive game. Bisama played on the right. He had a really good game. Well, not a really good game, but an average game for a wing, for a right back. Sam Junkwa that played from the beginning. He played up top, and by up top I mean like kind of like a winger. He did a pretty good job considering the fact that he scored the previous game, so he was able to he played 89 minutes, a full game on either left or right, depending on where Quinteros wanted to sit on basically, and also with Lacita, they were switching around. And then Darwin Seren to put the little cereza al postre, how we say it in Spanish, the last finishing touch to an almost not perfect, but a really good defensive game basically. We came out, even though we were playing at home, and teams at home tend to come out and be a little bit more offensive. We went with a more defensive plan to it, and that was that. There was a few shots here and there. Fuenmayor played a really good game, an okay game. He had his faults here and there, but stuff like that that usually happens with a young, unexperienced guy that maybe doesn't get a lot of minutes of playing time, right? Quinteros scored the first goal in the minute 19, which, if I'm not mistaken, I did do an anatomy of a goal. So check that out. Go to YouTube, QuattroQuattroDos. You can always find it there. And if you look at it, it kind of shows you what a really good team that pressures the ball can do if they actually do it well. If I'm not mistaken, that's from that game and not the previous one. But there's so many games in this week, or in this month, that I'm just going crazy with these games. Marco Marriage had a good save on minute 26 and stuff like that. But other than that, I think we had a really good game, considering that, like I said, considering the fact that we played literally the whole second half with one less man. Does that make sense? There was a lot of VAR mess ups when it came to Manotas. The red card that originally was a yellow, and then it went to a red, and then Dallas got a red, and then eventually ended up being a yellow card. So VAR. Shout out to Federico De Michelis, who is the guy doing Todo Dynamo, which is actually I just got done watching his show. That he had a couple of people on there. Very interesting show if you listen or if you speak Spanish or anything. He does a really good weekly, I think it's a weekly show, about Dynamo stuff, Todo Dynamo, everything Dynamo. So if you're a Spanish speaker, I highly recommend it. TODO Dynamo. And it's funny because talking with him at in the stadium, he basically hates VAR, and it's hilarious because anything that happens, any play that gets reviewed by VAR, it's hilarious to turn to him and just see his frustration in his face. But it's funny how some people like it and some people don't. Some people are more purists, and they believe that the game should just play on, and leave the TV and the replays for the people watching at home. Which at some I'm somewhere in the middle there. I'm not 100% VAR, but I think sometimes it could be useful. I don't know when or where. I guess if they're useful to me, I'll take them. If they're not, they're not. I'm kind of one of those, right? If it's for my advantage, I'll take it. But he's a purist. He's a purist. He doesn't like it. He doesn't care if it's favorable to us or or against us. He is completely against it, and it's just hilarious. And honestly, I mean, when it comes to this game against Dallas, there were so many mess ups. Like basically, VAR made so many decisions for the ref that, you know, at that point in time you're like, why do we have a ref? Why don't we just have VAR? You know, do all the calls. You know, basically. But I mean, other than, you know, the drama with the VAR and, you know, having a good defensive game and, you know, trying Junko out in a new position and, you know, doing this and that, the Dynamo played a really good game defensively. We were able to get a win at home against, you know, our Derby, the FC Dallas, and also we have one more game this year with him. So we won one, we lost one, we tied one. So then we got one more game at the end of this month, towards the end of this month, that we are playing Dallas over there in Dallas, actually on Halloween night. I think it's October or 31st. I think it's Halloween. And basically that will decide if El Capitan returns to its rightful owner, which is the Houston Dynamo, or stays over there in Fresco for another year. I actually have it on my list that whenever it's time for us, the media members, to talk to Tab Ramos again, closer to that date, I will ask him, because I actually noticed that, you know, I got on Twitter after that game and people were already asking for El Capitan. So, you know, we're gonna have to make that happen. So we're gonna have to put a little bit of pressure to those people that, you know, if we don't do anything else this year, we gotta bring El Capitan back to Houston, basically. And I think we can all agree on that one, right? And then jumping into the next game, so we just had a game this past Saturday. We played Miami, first time playing Miami, and our history and their history, basically, we went down to another one of those teams that, you know, call themselves after a city that they don't play in. Funny enough, right? So enter Miami, that plays in Fort Lauderdale. Pretty cool looking stadium. It looks kind of weird with the colors, but I kind of like it. It's very modern-ish, like very 21st century stadium. It's really open, with the whole weather delay and stuff like that. And also, you know, going more into the soccer part of the game. It seems like Tab Ramos also had another game that tactically he wanted to go in. He wanted to go in defensively. So it seems like we kind of did that. I don't have numbers for that game. Actually, I can kind of pull them up right here on my phone, because believe it or not, there's an app for that, right? So if you are interested, the app that I use, that I actually just started using, is called Sofa. What's it called? Sofa Score. So like your sofa where you sit down, and then score, and you can actually go there, and it gives you a bunch of like stats and stuff like that for games and different sports and stuff like that. So let me just get in there. I want to see what was some of the stats on this game. Some let's see. Media, no statistics. So let's see. Let's go here. So actually, when it came to ball possession, 56 for Miami, 44 for us. So it wasn't that much of a, you know, one-sided game. Which actually, if you watch a game, it was a pretty even game. Honestly, Inter Miami it's not a good team. I mean, honestly, they probably have one or two good players. Even having Gonzalo Higuain didn't make much of a difference for them. I mean, Higuain, I think, had like 2 or 3 shots on goal. The Marriage was able to save. I mean, their goal came from a penalty. Their only difference maker for Miami was Morgan, that played on the right side, if I'm not mistaken. They had 14 shots. We had 10 shots. Let's see. They had 2 big chances according to this app. We had 1 big chance. Goalkeeper saves, we had 3. So Marriage actually had a really good game. That I wrote down, I have 3 saves, which what the thing shows. Memo played a decent game after coming back after 2 games of being out because of some injuries. But the only thing I think that we lacked in the beginning of the game was passing. We even before the weather delay, which actually happened towards the minute 30 or so. I was actually not talking, but kind of like texting back, not, but like on Twitter, and you get into conversations with Federico de Michelis. He was saying, how did you guys see the game? And I commented, we need a better passing, and that's what it seemed. It seems like every time the Dynamo would get the ball, it was just like we couldn't put like 2 to 3 passes together to save our life. Like it was just horrendous that we couldn't communicate, concretar like a good series of passes, like put together 2 to 3 passes to make it something flowing. A lot of people or some people, they said the rain and all that stuff, but I don't think it had a lot to do with the rain. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but at the end of the day, both teams had to deal with the rain and the weather delay and all that, which it kind of throws you off because you play 30 minutes, you sit down for 45 minutes, and then you come back and play 15 minutes, and then you go to halftime another 15 minutes, and then you gotta play another 45. Like it's just a weird like rhythm of the game. It's not like a fluid 45-45. Even with water breaks are 1 or 2 minutes with just a breather. And that's more flowing of a game, but when you got to step out for 45 minutes, it just kind of breaks down any type of momentum that you had. And the only thing that we could talk about, this game, it was that the Dynamo kind of waited towards the end. At minute 56, that's when the penalty came from Kiki Struna. That unfortunately, he has been very inconsistent in this team, because like one game, we're all like crucify him, and then the next game we praise him, he gets team of the week, and then the next game he gives you a penalty, like a stupid penalty, and then the next game he's like playing really well. So it's one of those things that you want like your main center back, the one that gets paid the big bucks, to have some type of consistency when it comes to being your one of your main players. Like he has one of the biggest contracts. He's supposed to be one of the most experienced ones with European experience and this and that, and you can't just have like one game be literally team MLS of the week against Dallas when you have like a bunch of block shots and stuff like that, and then you come play Miami and like you get lucky because you only got counted 1 foul against you and not 2 or 3 that could have possibly been counted against you because you just can't keep your hands off of dudes, And I understand. I mean, I play defense myself, and I understand, the whole like tugging and the whole grabbing and the whole like bothering players and maybe hitting them, punching them, or whatever you have to do in the box, or in in that little dance that you do in the box. Obviously within the rules and within the eyesight of the ref. But when it comes to like you just giving out stupid ass penalties, basically, like it just kind of makes you inconsistent, and it makes you like think about or do we have the right guy? Are we paying you this much for you to give us this amount of good games instead of it just kind of makes you wonder and just kind of think about like where do we go from here? Like how about next year? We start looking into next year. Can we use you to be a vital piece for our team, or are we going to be having you there but you're going to be inconsistent also the rest of the year? So I mean that's going to be a good question to see what Tab Ramos decides at the end of the season and coming into next year. Marco Maric he has been really consistent the last few games. Against Dallas he had a heck of a game. Against Miami he had a pretty good game, really good saves. I mean, he just had a penalty against them, and then the previous games he's been pretty okay. He hasn't been great like the last 2 games, but he has been going up. And also considering the fact that he is one of the youngest MLS goalkeepers at 24 years old, and you know, full-time starter, you know, just pretty good. You know, not a bad goalie. He's still working on some things to get tighter, but you know, yes, you need a goalie, but you also you need your center backs, which are, you know, a big question mark going into next year. You know, with Figueroa, with Kiki Struna, with Cabrera, with Fonmajor. Like, it's gonna be interesting to see. Then another question that, you know, kind of came up was well, two things that also I want to talk about other than the defenders, was also the lack of forwards, not the lack of forwards, but the lack of goals from our forwards. Like, we have scored in games, but none of them came from the number 9s of our team, right? So we had players, you know, defenders score, midfielders score. Quinteros, Memo, Darwin Seren has like more goals than, you know, some of our number 9s, and it's just like, it makes you wonder. And you know, kind of forwards go through dry spells, but it's just like, how longer can we wait for our forwards to, you know, to have a good game? You know, like, it's been 5-6 games, and we just, you know, we need them. We need them to like step up, show up, score goals, and just be the number 9s that we want them to be, basically, right? And then the last thing that I wanted to kind of mention, which is something that everybody saw, which was like the team basically started rushing when there was like 20-15 minutes left in the game, and that's just kind of unacceptable. Because, and even Tab Ramos actually talked about it in the press conference. You know, he was very disappointed with the team, because why do the Houston Dynamo has to be the team that always gets scored on first? Why can't we be the team that actually goes out and gets, you know, scores first? And Tab Ramos was saying it. You know, he was like, if I am known as a team that goes all out and gets scored on because I'm going all out, he's like, I'll take the blame for it. But if I'm gonna be the team that stays back and defends and still gets scored on, then he was like, you know, that's gonna be on the players. Like, I want that sense of urgency on them. You know, like, he wasn't you know, blaming the players, but he was, you know, giving an understanding that he wants the fire, like the passion, to come from minute 1, not to like after you're scored on and there's 15 minutes in the game and you have to tie the game, which was what the Dynamo did against his Miami team. And that's where, like, you know, we started. I don't know if y'all can hear the baby in the background, but yeah. But this is, you know, basically that's where the Dynamo kind of lacked. And also, like, one thing that I would reproach Tab Ramos, you know, as a person watching, is that, you know, the substitutions came really late in the game with like 10 minutes left. They came super late in the game, in my opinion. You're good. Super late in the game, and it's just kind of, it made no difference. It was like, what are they supposed to do with like 10 minutes? And I know 10 minutes can be a lot of time in soccer. Like 30 seconds is a lot of time in soccer, but you know, 10 minutes is just not like I mean, me myself personally, I would have subbed him with like 30 minutes in the game, like at minute 60 or whatever. Actually he's been doing that. You know, he would start doing that like minute 55, and he would sub 2 players. Like, you have 5 substitutions and you wait till minute 80 to bring them in. 85, like, there's just no point. Like, you can't expect for players to, I mean, I guess you can, but not, like, it's not realistic for them to do something in 5 minutes, you know? Like, 2 minutes are going to be spent with Miami players on the floor, you know, hurting, you know, because somebody touched them, and they're on the floor, you know, just wasting time. And that's the only thing that I would say about Tab Ramos, you know, where he probably made a mistake. And, you know, that's just coming from me, but, well, you know, that's my perception of the game, and that's how I see it, basically. But other than that, that's basically my kind of recount of the Miami game and the Dallas game. And then the only thing basically that's now is left over are 6 games that are going to be extremely vital if we as a team want to make it into these playoffs. We are like literally right there, point away from making it, and literally like everybody in this on the west side, on the West Conference and Western Conference, it's literally, you know, it could be anybody's game. Even I mean, LA Galaxy with 15 games, you know, they have 2 less games than everybody else. They have 15 points, which only, you know, it's 15 points away from the first place team, which is Seattle Sounders and Timbers at this point in time. Which obviously, I mean, there is one with 6 games left, and they have 8 games left. 8 times 3 is 24. I mean, they have 24 points to play, basically. The Dynamo right now is that as they're sitting on 6 games, 3 at home, 3 away. So we're sitting on what was this? I think I did the math wrong, huh? Because 9, yeah, 8 times, I don't know. All I know is that we have 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 18 points. You know, yeah, I did the math right. So we have 18 points to be played. And we have 19 points to be played, or 19 points today as we sit on the table, right? We are literally in goal difference out of this playoff race with Colorado, which unfortunately for them, they are 13 games, but they have been having a bunch of postponements of games, if that's a word, because of COVID. Like a bunch of, I guess, people in their organization that are getting COVID, therefore they can't be playing. So they might not even be able to, you know, finish this season. And what they're going to do is they're actually going to base it off of their points per game, which right now actually they're sitting pretty good. Their average is 1.46 points per game, which actually would put them in number 5 when it came to, if we would do that in position. The other teams that have a better point per game average would be LAFC, Sporting Kansas City, Timbers, and the Sounders. So they're not doing that bad, but if the Houston Dynamo can, you know, manage to get a few more points out of these 6 games that are left, I think we should be in a pretty good spot. I mean, San Jose Earthquake is only a point away from us. FC Dallas is only 2 points away, and FC Minnesota, or Minnesota United FC, that's a long ass name, is only 4 points away. So like, and then LAFC is only 5 points away. So like from number 4 to number 8, like they're in our range right there. They're literally 2 games away, and we are playing possibly 4 teams. We're playing LAFC, we're playing Minnesota, we're playing Dallas, and we're playing Colorado if they, you know, get to play. But let's just say 3. We're playing LAFC, Minnesota United, and FC Dallas. Those games, my fingers look weird. Those games are going to be 6-point games, like that, you know, in that soccer way of speaking. Like they're gonna count almost double for us because we're literally competing against them directly for positions in this table. So those are gonna be extremely important. And the only shitty thing about those is that all 3 of those games are going to be away for us. So you know how we've been doing with our away records, or you know, it's terrible. But I think if we get our shit together basically, and you know, are able to get a few points out of those, I think we would be set. So my prediction, and I'm gonna close down with this. My prediction is that against Nashville, we'll get those 3 points here at home. We're gonna fly to Minnesota. So Nashville is actually on Wednesday. Minnesota is on Saturday, and I think we're gonna lose that game, unfortunately. And then actually it's on Sunday, my bad. Sunday at 7, and then Saturday that following week, Saturday 24th, we're playing Columbus here at home. Columbus has been a heck of a team, so I am actually settling for a draw against Columbus on that Saturday. Then we play Wednesday in LA against LA Galaxy, and I am also settling for another draw on that game. So 1 point there, and then we're on Saturday we're driving up to Dallas. I think personally we're going to beat Dallas. I think we have to win. against Dallas is going to be extremely important because it could be literally the last game of the season, because we don't know if we're going to play Colorado that following Sunday. But I think we have to win against Dallas, and we should beat Dallas. They have a good team, and we have a good team, I think. I mean, they're both pretty, kind of head-to-head, and, we're doing it for the people, for the derby, for the cannon, for a whole multiple of things that, we just have to win that game. So, and then if we play Colorado, I think we're going to beat them because we play them here at home. So that gives us a possibility of 11 points, which would put us at the end of the season with 30 points. And hopefully, with 30 points, usually they say if you have 31 points at the end of the season, you make it into the playoffs. So I'm hoping with 30 points, we're able to make it into these playoffs. It's going to be very difficult because, like I said, everybody's there and everybody's fighting, and obviously everybody wants to get in. But I pray to the sweet baby Jesus that we can make it out and have a good season, and hopefully next year we'll be talking about something completely different and talking about a really good team in the Dynamo. But other than that, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and shut it down here. Let me know what your predictions are for these upcoming games. Like I said, out of these 6 games, I think we're gonna get 11 points out of them. That's me kind of being optimistic, or average. Optimistic is me winning every game, and that's 18 points, and that would be amazing. But I think we might lose a couple, or we might tie a couple. But I mean, what are your predictions? Let me know, here, and if not, just wherever. Just let me know if you want to chat. But other than that, thank you everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you're listening. And I hope you guys have a good week or whatever. But yeah, keep watching the games. Stop talking too much shit about the team. We're actually playing really good soccer. We have a really good coach. I think we have decent players. We could have better players. Some of them might be shittier than others. But I think we should be supporting our boys and not talking too much shit like I've seen some people do. You can't be a fan. This is my every rant episode, my rant of every episode. If you're gonna be a fan, be supportive. Leave your negative at home. Like, stop being a bitch about it and just fucking enjoy the game. We're playing really good soccer, so get over it, and support the team. Like, stop being a bitch. But other than that, we'll see you guys later. Enjoy whatever is coming up in your life, and yeah, QuattroQuattroDos. See you guys later. Deuskis.